Hello. What we're going to do in this video is we are going to take a look at the TDA prompt for refugee, and we're going to unpack the prompt. That means we're going to break it down and look at the pieces and parts. Unpacking is another way of saying analyzing. So we're going to take a close look at what you're being asked to do to make sure that you understand exactly what your essay should be about. So this process is something that I want you to do anytime that you have a TDA prompt. I'm going to walk you through it this time, but next time you have a prompt, I want you to do this do what um, exercise on your own. So it's pretty simple. What you're going to do is you're going to read the prompt aloud to yourself. Okay. You are going to, number two, highlight all of the actions or verbs the prompt is asking you to do in that bright green. And then the third step is you're going to highlight all of the what's, we call those direct objects, that the actions are referencing in the chart in yellow. So I'm going to walk you through step by step, and I'll give you a chance to pause the video so that you can follow along and do the same thing on your assignment sheet. Okay? So let's take a look at the prompt. Here we go. This is your question or prompt. This novel is organized in a three-plot story structure. I'm going to pause there. Let's just think about that. This novel, which is the book, Refugee, is organized the way it was put together in a three-plot story structure. So there's three different stories that create the whole book. So that's what that means, three-plot story structure. Structure just means how something is built or put together, okay? That's just a statement. You don't have to do anything there. That's just kind of the introduction. The second sentence is where the actual assignment comes in. It says to write an essay explaining how the author's use of story structure communicates a common universal theme. And then the last sentence is cite textual evidence from the novel to support your response. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm at number 2 under directions. I've read the prompt aloud and I've read it carefully and thought about it. So now it's time to highlight our actions, our verbs, okay? So I'm going to start with the second sentence. What I'm going to have to do, the verb write, that's something I'm going to have to do. So I'm going to double click that. Let's highlight that bright green. That's one verb. Write an essay explaining, that's an action. That's something that I'm going to have to do. I'm going to have to explain. So we will highlight that one green. How the author's use of story structure communicates a common universal theme. Okay, so the only thing that I will have to do as a writer is I'm going to have to write an essay. That's just the format, but I'm really going to be explaining something. We're going to come back and do the yellow what's in just a minute. Let's finish this with just looking at the verbs for the third sentence. Cite is a verb. That's something that we're going to have to do. You know that cite means to go into a text to find a sentence or two of evidence and copy it word for word, including quotes and page number. And we're going to embed that into your essay. That's what cite means. So we're going to cite textual evidence from the novel to support your response. I think that's it. Those are the three main verbs of what you're going to have to do. Let me look one more time. Cite textual evidence from the novel to support your response. Let's go ahead and highlight support, just so that we're clear on why we're citing that evidence. So let's go ahead and have those four verbs. And what I want you to do in this chart below is just write those four verbs. So write would be one verb. Give myself a little space. Explain. I'm just going to take off the ing. Still the same verb. Cite and support. Those are the actions that I'm going to have to do when I write my response to this prompt. Write, explain, cite, and support. Now we're going to go back and take a look at what we're supposed to do with these verbs. It's the what. It's called the direct object. So you basically ask yourself the question, what, with the verb. So the verb is write. Write what? Go up to the prompt. Well, you're going to have to write an essay. So the what is an essay. I'm going to center this so it matches my other side. And essay. Okay, that's the what for that one. Explain. Go up to the prompt. Explain what? Explain how the author's use of story structure communicates a common universal theme. All right, that's a lot of words. I want to simplify it so that I'm very clear on what it is I'm being asked to do. So I'm going to explain how the stories, because we know the structure is really there's three stories. So I'm just going to say how the stories um, communicate a common theme. All I did was I just kind of pulled out the main words from the prompt just to clarify it for myself. So I'm going to, in this essay, my job is to explain how the stories, how each of the three stories, the Joseph, Isabel, and Mahmoud story, how all three of those communicate one common theme. So what that means is I have to pick one theme that all three stories teach. Okay, one big lesson. Going on to that final sentence, it says cite. Cite what? What's the direct object? If you said textual evidence, you are correct. So I'm going to center that. And textual evidence is what we're going to have to cite. Textual evidence from the novel to support. And I'm going to choose evidence that supports my response. So support, I'm going to put my response. But what that means is you're finding evidence that is going to be supporting your response, and your response is your answer, and your answer is the thesis of your essay. So you're going to want to find evidence that supports your thesis, and we're going to get into what the thesis is, but you're going to find evidence that supports that theme that you found to be how all three stories have in common. Okay, so you're going to want to find examples from the story that support that theme for all three stories. So that kind of breaks down what's really a complicated question, okay? The TDA prompt is long, and it has usually 3 or 4 sentences, and you want to slow down and really break it down into what exactly you're being asked to do. So this do what chart is a very helpful thing. The verbs on one side, and then the direct objects, or the what, on the other side. The last thing I want you to do, and this I want you to do on your own, now that we've broken it down, we've analyzed it, I want you to, one last thing is to rewrite the prompt or this task that you've been given in your own words, okay? You can use write, explain, cite, and support if you want to, but you really need to kind of really comprehend and really digest this prompt. So in your own words, you tell me back what it is you're being asked to do in this TDA prompt for this essay. And you're going to type that here. You can just delete the lines and put in your own words there. Okay? And once you're done, you can turn that in and you have finished unpacking the TDA prompt.